Any second now, Boeing Starliner will be docking at the International Space Station. It has been moving at a rapid 5 centimeters per second.
Rapid 5 centimeters per second. It should be docking within the next 30 seconds, less than 30 seconds. It's taking place nearly 15 hours after its successful launch from Cape Canaveral yesterday, and after NASA discovered 2 additional helium leaks during the voyage late last night. With us as we await this milestone, CNN Space and Defense correspondent Kristen Fisher and retired NASA astronaut Leroy Chiao. Kristen, first, talk to us about what's actually happening right now, seconds away from this dock.
Yeah, they've actually extended it to just about a few minutes because they want to make sure the light is right. So what you have is Boeing Starliner spacecraft. That's that capsule that the astronauts that we watched launch yesterday have been inside for the last 24 hours or so. And what it is doing, it is slowly approaching the International Space Station, and they're going to dock. But this is the first time they have ever done that with a crew on board, and of course you have astronauts and cosmonauts aboard the International Space Station. And so what they want to do is take it very slowly, and they want to wait until there's actual sunlight on the Boeing Starliner spacecraft. Right now they're in a period of darkness, nighttime in space. So they're waiting just a few more minutes until they get that sunlight. They're now on the final approach, and they've been troubleshooting these pesky RCS thrusters, as they're called, the things that kind of propel the spacecraft, do those last minute final adjustments, but they think they've worked through those issues, and we're now just minutes away, 9 meters away as well.
9 meters at 5 centimeters at a go. It's going to still be a second here. I'd also prefer driving during the day to driving at night, so that makes complete sense to me. We're watching every little thing with this, right? So we're watching those thrusters. This was a slight delay compared to when it was supposed to dock, but also these little helium leaks. What's going on here?
Yeah, so we knew there was a helium leak before launch. NASA and Boeing was aware of it, and they said, hey, you know what? We think it is within our parameters that it's still safe to fly. So we knew there was going to be one, but once the spacecraft got into orbit, they found 2 more. And so last night, before NASA astronauts Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams went to sleep, they made them do all these things to kind of shut down some of these thrusters to stop the leak. And they troubleshooted it overnight and decided that they were okay and go for this docking today. So it could have been more serious, but turned out not to be. And so now they're just troubleshooting these final things. It's a first test flight. These things do happen, but
Glad to hear it's not a serious
Right.
issue. We just got word from the feed. We're now roughly like a minute 30 from docking. Leroy, as we're watching this unfold, take us inside the minds of these astronauts about to accomplish something historic.
Oh, absolutely. Butch and Sunny are consummate professionals. They're very laser focused on the task at hand. Docking is one of those critical maneuvers. And so, they're watching their instruments. They've got their checklists out, and they are just monitoring the situation, monitoring the automatic situation, poised to take manual control if necessary. And again, they're delayed just a little bit just to wait for optimal lighting conditions. Not a big deal.
Tell us what we're looking at here. Are you able to see the picture as we're looking at the capsule moving towards the space station?
Yes, so I have an image of the capsule as it's approaching. So as you pointed out, very slowly, approaching very slowly, not at all like the movies. You don't come whizzing in and dock. It takes a bit of time. You got to be slow and deliberate. Anyway, by the way, I mean, I'm very familiar with this process. On my mission in the Russian Soyuz capsule, we had an emergency during docking, and we had to execute a manual night docking. So we didn't wait for
Leroy,
the lighting conditions. But
Leroy, look at that. I think it docked. Is this a success?
yeah, it's looking like it, right? Yeah,
All right.
I believe so.
Let's wait
that's
till
a huge deal.
we're waiting with bated breath for confirmation that they've docked. It was slow and it was tedious, but it appears to have been successful. So, Leroy, put this docking into context for us, what it means for the bigger picture of space travel.
Well, what it means is that if they've successfully docked, and it seems like they have, awaiting that confirmation, as you said, but that means that we now have a second path to launching NASA astronauts to and from the ISS. Of course, SpaceX has been doing it for nearly 3 years. We want NASA likes redundancy, astronauts like redundancy, all engineers do. And so this would mean we have a second path without having to go back to relying on the Russians and their Soyuz vehicles. So this is a historic moment. Butch and Sunny, I'm sure they're going through their procedures, but they're also thrilled to be attached to the ISS.
Yeah, not the least because that's not a giant capsule they're in, right? I'm sure they're looking forward to stretching their legs.
Oh yeah. No, it's not a big capsule by any means. Space Shuttle, by comparison, was a palace, right? I mean, we could have 7 astronauts with our seats deployed and still be very much in more of a business class type of seating arrangement. But nonetheless, these vehicles are very capable and they do their job well. And hopefully everything else will continue to go relatively smoothly for this flight test.
Absolutely. Kristen, what happens next?
Well, what happens next is these astronauts are going to spend about 8 days up at the International Space Station. But in addition to them bringing themselves and this new spacecraft, they've also brought a new replacement pump to fix the machine that recycles, get this, the astronaut urine and turns it into drinking water.
Oh,
it's been broken
delicious.
for a few days now. So as you can imagine, there have quite literally been bags of urine piling up at the International
Floating
Space Station.
in the
It's
ISS.
secured but limited space, and so right now inside that Boeing Starliner spacecraft is a replacement pump for that urine recycling system. A critical piece of infrastructure that's needed on board the ISS.
Unquestionably so. A critical mission.
Oh my gosh.
We're watching
I'm
them
sure
fly.
that the crew there was excited to see Sunny and Butch anyways, but they're going to get like a hero's welcome.
An added bonus,
yeah.
Kristen, Leroy, thank you so much to both of you. A huge day. And
It was great to witness. Even though the
Amazing.
audio wasn't great, it was great to watch that
Yeah.
happen. Yeah.
very slow and perfect.
Meticulous.